Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Joy, and if you've always been here, my name is Joy. So guys, as you know, my god, I've forgotten how to do intros. So I've been away from YouTube for over a year, so I think it's only right if I reintroduce myself. So my name is Joy. I'm married to a wonderful Quint. That's why my name is Joy Quint. I am a mom of 3. I have a soon to be 14-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. I work in the aviation industry, and I also run a ministry called the CHIC EVANGELIST, plus a lot of other things that I love to do. So I'm here because 1, I made a promise to my son, and 2, because I feel like the time away was enough and I actually missed being on YouTube. So I'm really excited to be back. And to start us off, I would just like to sort of share with you guys what I learned from 2021. So, Happy New Year, guys. I almost forgot to wish you guys a Happy New Year. So yeah, so the last time that I was on YouTube was in August of 2020, yeah, and I was pregnant then, and I remember I was doing the pregnancy updates, and then life sort of just kicked my butt. Like, there were so many changes that were happening in my life, like so many things. Like, COVID had hit its highest at that time, and we were in the middle of like a lockdown, so we couldn't have our family come in or anything. Like, it was just tough, so to speak. And we had so many changes going on at my place of work and all that. Like, I honestly, sincerely would not make it here, because I would have been serving from a very, very empty place. And I believe in serving from a place of wholeness, serving from a place of authenticity, and I could not pretend that I was not in the right mental space. So 2020 happened. I had a wonderful delivery. I think I might do a delivery story again, a labor and delivery story again, even if it's a year already. A year has already gone by, but this one was amazing. You guys don't want to miss it. But for today, I would like to share with you guys what I learned from 2021. If you are new, I love pink, and I have pink notebooks. I think pink notebooks are just, yeah. So I have my notes here that I'm going to be referring to. So the reason why it's important to look back at the past year is so that you can check what are the things that you did right, what are the things that you did wrong, where can you improve, what do you need to let go of, is there something new that you can adapt and like implement in your life, or are there things that you need to learn? So it's really like doing a SWOT analysis on your life. So if companies go away on retreat in order for them to reevaluate where they are and where they stand, how much more you, who is a resource to this company? Okay guys, so the number one thing that I learned in 2021, which is something that is sort of continuous learning for me, is that God is my everything. Like, I cannot emphasize it enough, but I learned that God actually loves me. He loves me so much that every single thing that is happening around me is happening for me and not to me. And this realization really changed how I'm viewing things. Like, I stopped being a victim of my circumstances and I started being like above them. So if something happened and this thing looked really, really bad, I had to go back to him and ask him, how are you doing this for me? How is this working out for me? Because God is for me. Like, he's on my side. Even the Bible says that, what does the Bible say? It says, if God is for you, who can be against you? That's what the Bible says. So that's the number one thing that I learned, that God is my everything and that he is for me. The number 1, 2 thing that I learned, and this will be under family. So I've listed it out in like categories. So number 2 category is family. What I learned in 2021 about family is that the relationships in families can be very dynamic. However, you have the choice to either have a good relationship or a bad relationship. And this is what I mean. You can choose to be at loggerheads or you can choose to be a peacemaker. This does not excuse people who do things to harm you and all that. No, we are no longer looking at other people. We're choosing to looking at ourselves, because we're the only ones who are responsible for our own happiness. So I had a challenging 2021, like the first half, because I could not see my mom. I was so used to seeing my mom every time. Like every time I would have 4 days off, I'll be on a flight to Nairobi to see my mom and my siblings and all that. And so we had to make do. So I used to write notes and send them with anyone who's going to Nairobi, to send a letter to my mom. My brother would send letters to me and the kids. So these relationships work, but this relationship require work. Just because you're siblings does not automatically make you friends. So you have to spend time to kind of get to know each other and be friends. And the other thing that I learned is that God can give you the family that you are born into, the family that you have chosen to be married into, and the family that you choose to make with the people around you. We sat around and we just realized that it's just us, like us and the people like we are in a community with, like the people we live with in our building, our friends, Angie and the kids, Senje, I'm just mentioning like my friends. So we realized that that's our family, like we have chosen, we are there for each other. Our kids are nephews and nieces, cousins, you know what I mean? So you can make these relationships what you want them to be. Another thing that I learned in 2021 is about friendships. And let me tell you guys, you never know the friend you needed until God answers your prayer about the friend you need. So this was what happened to me. One day I woke up in the morning, and this was, so I'll share later on, but yeah. So I woke up in the morning and I wanted to get a workout done before I reported for work. So I took out my mat and all I could do was just lay there. So I lay down on my back, yeah? And I just started talking to God. Like, I didn't even work out. I just lay there, and then I was like, God, can you give me a good friend? Like, can you send me a friend who loves you madly, deeply, truly? Like, can you just send me someone? Like, I didn't know what I needed. I knew the friends that I had and had access to were meeting needs, but I just felt like there was something I needed and I could not articulate it. And I just told God, can you do this for me? And so later that day, I had a session, because I was going to therapy that time, and I had a session. And so the psychologist that I was seeing recommended that I meet with a specialist doctor. So I walk in and I met this specialist doctor, and it was wonderful. And so I'm wondering whether this should be here. Anyway, let me just cut the story short. So it was during this meeting that I actually realized the importance of praying for friends. Because sometimes we pray for everything, or some people, I pray for everything. But I used to pray for everything, but I never really realized how much I needed a friend who loved God with the same intensity that I loved God. I mean, in 2021, God gave me friends, and not even one, not even two, like 4 ladies who absolutely love God so much that we got on Zoom calls to pray. We got on Zoom calls to just talk about the Bible. We were all over WhatsApp with each other in 2021 to just pray. Like every opportunity we could get to meet together and have communion, we took it. So I learned in 2021 to ask God for the things that you don't even know you need, you know? And that comes from a place of total surrender, because sometimes we think we've got it all figured out. So it takes an amount of surrender to tell God, hey, you know what, God? I think I need a friend, but I don't know what kind of a friend I need. Would you just make this possible for me? So, and then another thing about friendship that I learned is that it comes a point where you have to realize when people have outgrown you. We never talk about people outgrowing us, and sometimes we feel bad because somebody is no longer speaking to you or this or that, but we're never like humble enough to just accept that, hey, I'm not part of their journey anymore, and that's okay, and that doesn't make me a bad person, and that does not make me toxic, or that doesn't make them toxic because they've chosen to put themselves first and leave me out of their journey. And I think there's some sort of growth that comes with that. Yeah. The other thing is about health, guys. 2021, February 23rd, I was diagnosed with COVID-19. So this might be like, but then I was breastfeeding. So I knew the moment that they gave me my diagnosis that my daughter has it. And I mean, we were in the house, the kids were not going to school. So we had the most intense 7 days. You know, when I see campaigns on how to protect yourself against COVID and wash your hands and social distance and do this and avoid crowds, and I take it seriously because I have seen the other side of it. And I want to take this opportunity to just ask you guys to like really, really put yourself first. Put yourself first. God will protect you. God will heal you. God has covered you. But it does not hurt to just put in precautions to keep yourself safe, right? So that time is when us guys realized that, oh my God, we need to, like, our health became a privilege. We started to thank God for just not having a flu, you know, or the kids not having a fever. So it caused us to be really conscious about our health and to want to do better when it comes to our health. So this meant checkups. This meant I even went for my first ever breast awareness campaign. Like, I went to just go and learn about it because I realized that I was so like this about it. But after that incident, I just decided, you know what, I have to do better. Yeah. The other thing is about parenting. So parenting in 2021 is very, very different. Actually, parenting just keeps changing. I don't know if there's anybody who's got it like on lock, because 1 minute all you have to do is feed whenever the baby is hungry, and then it's now to choosing how you're disciplining, how you're talking to them, how you're spending time with them, what are you instilling in them, you know, what are you exposing your kids to, what kind of decision makers are you causing them to be? So for me in 2021, I had the wonderful opportunity to lead my son to Christ. So he rededicated his life to Christ, and it was just a beautiful time. And if there's anything that's a highlight for me in 2021 as far as parenting is concerned, is that, of course. And also, like, just allowing my kids to fully express themselves without being disobedient or rude, but to give them a place where they can just speak freely and then start to correct them in the way of the Lord from that. Because a friend of mine said, do you remember when we were kids, we were not even allowed to speak when grown-ups were there? So we sort of had to be so stifled. But now, as in from the way I look at my kids right now, I'm trying to make them people who can actually just speak their mind respectfully, air their opinions, and be willing to listen to correction, to listen to what other people are going to say, and not to, like, yes, they're really, really gifted academically, but I don't want it to go to their heads and for them to think that, oh, they're the smartest. No, but to allow them to learn that you can listen and learn from the people around you. Another thing that I learned about parenting in 2021 is that many people are not very honest about how they parent. We want to paint this perfect Instagram parenting scenarios of what we do, when we know at the back of our minds that that's not really what we are doing. So I am all for authentic parenting, intentional parenting that does not have to be in front of cameras, where we admit that today is a bad day. Today I feel exhausted. I love my kids, but can somebody just ask them to keep quiet? You know, so I learned, and I am very open with my friends. They know I am not two-faced about how I parent. Like, yes, I have really, really great kids, but sometimes they just get on your nerves. The other thing that I learned in 2021 is about career. So this one is about careers. And this is what I learned. 2020, many companies were downsizing and all that, and I could see panic in so many people, yeah, because many people sort of have chosen to identify themselves with what they do, so it's their job, it's the company, it's the this, it's the that. But what I learned in 2021 is that you have unlimited opportunities of learning and growing yourself, that you're doing yourself a disservice by limiting yourself to only one thing. I know many people say that you should perfect one thing, but I'm like, it's 2021. No, now it's 2022. So, and opportunities for learning are coming up. What are they called? Industries are changing. There's a lot of innovation that's coming up. You are doing yourself a disservice by allowing yourself to just shrink and fit into one cocoon, you know? My friend Belle is a doctor, and she was telling me that even if she did not practice in a hospital, she would still be able to lead and guide and advise people on medical issues in a lifestyle kind of forum. So this is somebody who can be a consultant for a different company and be like the medical consultant who is in charge of their wellness and all that. So it's about time that you get out of that comfort zone, because I know people who've been in the same role for over 20 years, and I told God, that's not who I want to be. So I want to staff each and every area of my career to ensure that should an opportunity come, that I'm qualified for it. And I learned not to be very attached, because some people can be very, like, you're very attached. So if something happens to you at work, then it trickles down to even your personal life. So this is what I would say I learned in 2021. If you think you're the smartest in the room, you're in the wrong room. But what you can do is continue staying an amateur. And this is why I say this. When you stay an amateur, then you continue to learn. You open yourself up to learning. You open yourself up to keep working hard to produce better and better and better. And you're better off than an expert who now sits on this ivory high tower thinking they've got it all. Because guess what? There are younger people with more time on their hand, with internet, who are learning and who are growing, who can take your job just like this. So you owe it to yourself to start to learn things, diversify your abilities and your portfolio, and become better, become so good, that when a company is thinking of you moving, they're like, nah, we have to add more responsibilities and hopefully more pay. So that's where I'm at right now. The other thing that I learned, I'm saving the best for last, by the way, guys, don't worry. The other thing that I learned about 2021 in business is that, guys, there's already somebody who is doing what you're doing. We are not inventing the wheel. We are just reinventing it and putting our own sauce on it. So do not be shy to ask for advice. The challenge that I see is that many people want to copy instead of asking for advice, and then adapting the advice that you've given to be relevant to you and to what you're doing. So there are ways that you can approach somebody who is already in the industry with respect, of course, respecting their time. And of course, if you're not going to implement, then don't waste somebody's time asking for advice. You know what I mean? Like, if it's something, for me, the biggest game changer was when I spoke to a friend of mine, and she told me that I cannot allow that my business requires that I am online or on WhatsApp for me to make a sale. And this changed 2021 for me. It absolutely did. When you wake up to the morning to an alert that you've made a sale, I'm telling you, there's no better feeling. I don't know when I'll ever get used to it. I have no idea, but every time this happens, I just get so excited. So for those of you who know, you know that I run the CHIC Evangelist. And the CHIC Evangelist is a global digital community of women who have chosen to live fearless, fabulous, and faith-filled lives. So our mission is actually to amplify the love of Christ. And, you know, our vision is like to what's the word? To change the world using digital media, to amplify Christ's love using digital media. So July of 2021, we launched our Christian Girl Must-Haves bundle, and this came with Andika Neno, Soma Neno, and Andika Ombi. Yeah, so these are 3 journals that we have, and one is a sermon notebook. So now we're online, and now people can make their orders online, and they can pay online. Like, guys, if you haven't been, I'm going to put the link in the description box. Then the other thing that I learned about ministry is that you cannot serve from a place of emptiness. You cannot serve, and you cannot serve how you want to serve. You have to serve how God has called you to serve. And I think that sometimes the church has sort of complicated what ministry is and glorified the pulpit so much that congregations have people who listen to a pastor who's probably worn out, and there are people in the congregation who are gifted, who can teach. So what I have learned, and there was a sermon that I saw on Transformation Church in 2020, and this one was called Who's the Minister Here? And that showed me that anybody can speak about God and teach about God. So what I have learned is to see, are there any people around me who can pour into me or teach me, or even teach the people that I want to serve in a better way? And am I opening doors for them to be able to do that? So I really wanted, like, I didn't want to run a ministry that is about me or self-fulfilling. I want a ministry that is about God and that is serving my community. So if you are a young lady who is in ministry, please look around you and start to staff those areas with people who can actually help your ministry to grow. Yeah. The other thing is about money. Let me talk about money, and then I'll finish up with marriage. So money. I don't know if there's anybody who, maybe, let me not generalize, but there are probably people who had a good year, financial year. For me, 2021 was about really coming to grips with the reality of my financial situation, like acknowledging, okay, that this is the amount of debt I have, and my net worth is currently a negative, and how am I going to get there? What do I need to learn? How am I equipping myself to be better with money? Because you see, some of us think that because we pay 10% of our income, that is like a give or take. Yeah, and I even use the word pay, but the Bible says bring or return. Yeah, so some of us use it as a nipe nikupe, as we say in Kiswahili, like I scratch your back, you scratch mine, something like that. I don't know how to explain it better than that. But we've sort of used tithe as an entitlement for financial breakthroughs, for financial well-being. And so you would find people who, yes, they pay their tithe, but they're not saving, they're not investing, they're not tracking their expenses, like they're just really reckless with their money. And because they're tithing, they're like, oh, this should cover everything. So I learned, like I've been learning about money and listening to various voices, because you will find people who are so stuck in one way of doing things and they negate everyone around them. And on the other hand, there are people, especially I love listening to women talking about money. So I've been opening my mind to listen about money, and the one thing that I listened to last was that money is an energy. Money is energy. And the same way you attract energy, you can repel energy. I don't know, physicians, please don't come for me. I'm just trying to explain what I understood from what this lady was talking about. And so 2021, I think I took the most risks with my money. I also was very, very humbled because there were situations that I could not meet them financially, and opportunities that I lost because I was not able to, I did not have the money. I also learned about money and friendship, and how, you know, sometimes your friendship can really switch when money becomes like a touchy topic. So I learned that. But overall, what I learned about money is that it's not a bad thing. First of all, it's not a bad thing. And number two, it can change a lot, but it's not everything. So with these lessons, I learned how to diversify my investment portfolio. I learned what would be a good investment for now and what would be a good investment for later. It caused me to shelve plans that I had because definitely it was not the time for them, but God willing, in future that this will come to be. Last but not least is relationship, and in this case, because I'm married, I choose to speak about marriage. What I learned in 2021 about marriage is that your marriage is a form of worship to God. I learned the hardest thing. So I'm really good with words, yeah? And in both the positive and the negative way. And I would be so cautious about how I use my words about my husband. And I remember one time I told my friend, why is it that when I'm talking to you about my husband, I'd be like, oh, he's like this, and he like this, and he's like this. But then when I go to him and maybe he's not done something that I wanted him to do, or just something, like the words that would come out of my mouth would be the exact opposite. Like I'd be like, but babe, you didn't do this and you promised me, and then you see you didn't keep your word. You see, you told me this. And before that, I was just gushing about how wonderful this man is. And so there was like a disconnect. And so when I spoke to my friend about it, she told me, try and speak to him how you speak to me. Like, there's no judgment here, yeah? And so the hardest thing that I did was to actually just look my husband in the eye and tell him, you know what? I honor you. Like, I absolutely honor you. And I had never used the word honor. Like, in fact, I told her that I almost choked on this one when I was trying to say it. But I felt like sometimes we use the word, I love you, I love you, I love you. But I wanted to, like, take it a notch higher. And so what I learned from marriage is that it can only be as good as you work on it, because there is work to be done. And it's not bad work, let me tell you. I'm not going to be here and join the marriage is a scam parade. No, it's just work that will need for you to get out of your comfort zone. It's work that will cause you to address your own flaws or your own shortcomings or your own inadequacies in some areas. Like, it will expose you. I think it will expose you. Yeah. So those are the things that I learned in 2021. 2021 was actually my best year yet. I know I had like the highs of highs and the lows of lows, but one thing remained: my faith in God became my anchor. Like, it became my anchor. So even as we are now speaking about 2022 and going into 2022, I just want to encourage you to take some time, even before you write down what your vision is or what your goals are for the year or the things that you want to do. Just take some time and speak to God about it. Tell him where you want to be, use your imagination when you're talking to God, because you know what? It is through that imagination that now fuses with your faith in God, and then things come to be. So I will do another video about vision and how to craft your vision, how to come up with your word of the year, and like a workable plan for your vision. I don't want to talk about resolutions, because resolutions, sometimes the word has even been so misconstrued now. So I want for you to talk about a vision. The good thing with a vision is that the Bible says that I have it on my wall. So that is from Habakkuk 2 and 3. The verse 3 says that, for the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end. It does not prove false. Though it linger, like though it may delay, it will still come to pass. Yeah, so you can have a vision right now of the house that you want to live in, but you've got bad financial habits. So you still have time to correct your financial habits, have enough money to start purchasing the land, plan, and this might not even take 12 months, or it can take 12 months. Yeah, so having a vision is, I feel, is so much better than having a resolution, because when you have a vision, then that vision will drive your goal will drive your habits, and your habits, the tiny little things that you do every day, will contribute to the end result. So thank you so much for everybody who stayed subscribed to this channel, and special thank you to my son Imani, who made me do a voice note promising that a video will be done today. So thank you so much, guys. Please subscribe to my channel if you did not see. I hit 1,000 subscribers finally. I cannot wait to see how much our channel grows from here, and so I need to stop talking and have some tea. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye bye.